afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your midday market. Actually, no, your closing bell. Your closing bell for Wednesday, February 23rd. Just 5 days left in the shortest month of the year as we get closer to March, conference championships, March Madness, and the Masters. Shout out to everyone at the XL Center last night. An amazing game. The two heavyweights, I think, in the Big East, UConn and Villanova, went right down to the wire. UConn 71-69 winner. Anyone that had UConn minus 2.5, I feel for you. I only would have played it on the money line, but I'm holding on to my futures for them to win the Big East tournament. And we'll talk later about that. Shout out to all our followers. Mr. Lucky, Mr. Hewlin. Hope everyone's having a great day today. Marty Lowe, our Twitch, our YouTubers. Shout out to everyone that watched the show this afternoon as we crossed the border to Canada with our weekly Wednesday afternoon show with Mr. Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk and the McGinnis Picks, talking NHL and the Olympics and some just stuff that goes on in our lanes with the trolls and everything else like that. The amnesia of a lot of people in our lanes. I always say you go 9-1 and they'll only remember the loss. But without further ado, let me bring in my co-host from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good afternoon, Scott.
Well, Jeff, that one loss is always more memorable than the 9 wins.
No doubt about it. I can tell you this. In 2017, when we went 30-2, the 2 losses are the ones that everyone remembered, not the 30 wins. We didn't lose a game from conference 2 through March Madness till the Final Four when the Zags didn't cover in the semis. And then we lost also, we didn't cover in the finals. So it was technically I'll never duplicate that again. Not that we don't try. We rattled off 30 straight and we ended the tournament 30-2. It's when the board was, it just, everything worked. You caught every break. I mean, luck, and more luck. Every dog that we played won outright, and every favorite won by double digits. It was just insanity. It's like anything else. You're chasing that, meaning, you can do it. It's probably never going to be duplicated, but that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, in baseball, right? The guys get up and they hit and they come back in there. I'm in the zone, right? And then just that different feeling when the ball comes off the bat, and then there's you don't feel it. You don't feel it in your hands. When you're swinging the bat through the strike zone, you hit the ball and it's solid. It feels great. You're in the zone. It's great contact. The ball goes where the fielders aren't. So you're getting hits right and left. And then all of a sudden, you're not quite hitting the ball in the same spot on the bat, and you can start to feel it in your hands because the reverberation goes back into your palms of your hands, and depending on how you hold the bat, into your fingers. And truthfully, depending upon the weather and stuff, that shit hurts. You hit a ball wrong on a baseball bat, and it hurts. A lot of times you'll see those guys when they swing and the bat breaks because they got sawed off on the inside, and then they start shaking their hands. They don't feel good. It's that reverberation, depending upon the smallness of where the ball hits the bat, shakes the crap out of your hands, and it also doesn't feel too good when it's cold outside because your hands are already cold, and then that reverberation stings in your hands a little bit. So, but yeah, it relates to what we do, and it relates to the lanes we're in, and when you are in the zone, man, you're in the zone, and you are breathing ether like you're at the dentist office all day, just floating around, man. It's great.
Yeah, you see, I'm smiling ear to ear because I felt guilty In other words, I didn't even press the issue either. We got up there. I think we only stayed 2 weeks there. I got 2 weekends in, and it was just like all these games are going on, and it was like in slow motion. And I was only, a couple days. I played 3 games. A couple days I played two, and I think on the final day there, I only played one. And it was, when you get on a heater like this, a lot of people will tend to push, and push. I went up a little. I mean, I might have started at 300 a game. I might have finished at 500 a game. And let's just say that my two daughters and wives and my wife, uh, the ones that probably benefited the most. I was walking into Coach. I was walking into Louis Vuitton. I was walking into all these places. Like my last name was DiCaprio, not Dawson.
Well, it does give you a different feeling in life. I mean, that's all why we do stuff. I mean, it's that way. And but it also, when you think about when you're in that zone, um, you see your thoughts are clear, your visions are clear, what you're looking for is there, and you can find it, and you capitalize on it. And I always think that part of good money management bankroll is to when you're losing, play less money, and when you're winning, play more money, and have because you capitalize on. It's just like when baseball teams are going through their seasons. Every team is going to go through series of games where they lose. It doesn't matter how good you are. The Dodgers are going to lose 4 straight at some point in time. The Braves and those teams, they're going to lose. The best teams are going to lose 4 straight games, 5 straight games, maybe 2 or 3 times in a season. But they're also going to win 5 and 6 and 7 straight times more often. And the truth of the matter is you got to be on them or off them during those streaks. And as those streaks go, you make your money on the streaks, because the rest of it's 50-50. And that's where the money comes into, where you can benefit is by capitalizing on those streaks of wins and losses, and or because you're playing against teams on losses, obviously. But the point being is that I find it very fascinating that a lot of people don't do that, and they don't when they start winning and they get 2, 3, 4, 5 games, they don't start raising their money up. And I'm not saying double your money. I'm just saying, if you're $100 better, now you've built your bankroll up where you can be $150 better. And then if you're still rolling good, maybe you're $200 better, but you've got all that money, but you bankrolled already. And then the first time you lose, you stop and you go back to your regular unit number. And then if you're losing, okay, you drop it down to $75 and you drop it down to $50, drop it down to whatever until you start winning again. That way you maximize your wins and you minimize your losses. And that's the most important part.
100%, 100%. I wish it was always that easy for, in that zone. And that's why we do what we do. And, that was in 17. We're in 22 now. And, since then, I mean, back then I was just using Sports Insights, to be honest with you. Now, let me see, we're up to Don Best, Sports Insights, Wager Talk, pregame, and I'm missing one. Oh, Ken Palm. Got Ken Palm in there.
Well, shit, Jeff, just go back to using Sports Insights and you'll be all in the zone again.
Speaking of that, Ken Palm had the perfect sheet yesterday, which is amazing. Hats off.
I saw that on Twitter.
That is absolutely insane. Good for him, though. All right, I'm gonna pull up the board. Tough slate, some big games, and I was going through social media today, and there's someone that I follow that kind of remind me of myself, meaning he woke up early in the morning and he put a video together of what he called trap games. Now, a lot of people have different definition of trap games, whether, if you take a football team, say the Patriots, that are playing the Texans, but next week they face the Bills, so they can say that's a trap game. Go to college, Alabama's facing Northwestern, and the following week they got LSU. But in these games, what I like to say a trap game is when you wake up in the morning and a line doesn't look good. It smells. It's trapping you to go to a certain side for a reason. I call it the kid in the candy store. When you wake up, okay, what games jump out at you? And so he was breaking down some games, and I saw what he saw. So listen. I didn't create the wheel. I'm not trying to recreate the wheel. But what we've done has been successful. So we do what we do. So I pull up today's board. There's a 6:30 start, rotation number 661, 662. Creighton at St. John's. St. John's opened at 5, still at 5. 53% of the bets, 82% of the money on the Johnnies. A line freeze. Actually, it's 5 minus 105 at Circa, which means the next move's going to 4 and a hook. It's already 4 and a hook at DraftKings. Again, I would say right here, I would lean Creighton. I think the number was a little high to start with. Interested to see what you have at pregame.
Well, a couple things that are interesting here. As we go along, Jeff, I'm assuming we'll get to it, but there's one of these games that is by far a standout in terms of dollars bet on it. There is $160-some thousand already bet on a college basketball game tonight. Anyway, that being said, this game that starts at 8 or at 6:30, you said you got an opening. Is that the opening line from Wager Talk is 5?
Yes.
So these guys have an opening line of -3.5. So I don't know where they got that number from, but they're saying the opening number was -3.5, and maybe that was the overnight number. I don't know. But they're saying it was St. John's -3.5. It's up to -5. 57% of the money is on St. John's. 57% of the tickets is on Creighton.
Which would make sense. Again, and that line opening at 3.5 would attract the Johnny's money. And that's why, it's tough. We use all our sites here on Dawn Best. Computer models 5, opening number 4.5, and straight to 5. So again, I don't know where Wager Talk, where pregame got their 3.5, might be the 4 or 16 casinos that they use.
Sure.
That was the number. So Mississippi State, South Carolina. Mississippi State opens at 2. Again, I think the number smells. I think they're trying to get Mississippi State money, but I'm showing 76% of the bets, 63% of the money on South Carolina.
Yep, 46,000 on this game, 76% of the money, 71% of the tickets on South Carolina.
Next game, same thing. Syracuse and Notre Dame, 665, 666 on the rotation number. Notre Dame opened at 4.5, now 5. 59% of the bets, 83% of the money on Notre Dame.
I didn't quite get that high on the split, but 46,000, 76% of the money, 67% of the tickets on Notre Dame.
I think the Qs hang around there, but again, I'm staying away from that one. George Mason, VCU, 667, 668. VCU opened up at 6, now 6.5, straight across the Vegas Strip. 52% of the bets, 69% of the money on VCU.
Yeah, this shows 23,000 bet and 51% of the money on VCU and 68% of the tickets on VCU.
Yeah, I think the number's a little high. I think Mason can hang around. VCU's been playing better of late, and they've been thumping a few people here and there. So I'm going to stay away, but I'd lean the dog there. Your first public trendy dog of the day, rotation number 677, 678, Rutgers at Michigan. We've all seen the video. Pretty disgusting on both sides of the party. More obviously to Juwan Howard, who's been suspended for the end of the regular season, which is 5 games. So they will have their assistant coach play versus Rutgers. They opened at 6, now 5. 67% of the bets, 51% of the money, all on those darlings of Rutgers.
Yeah, this is much higher. $73,000 bet on the game. So second highest bet game so far of the ones we've covered. And 83% of the money, 72% of the tickets, all on Rutgers.
Everyone back in Rutgers today, just be careful. Again, it looks too good to be true in my eyes. Michigan had started to really play some big ball. And that game against Wisconsin, where they were only 2.5-point underdogs, a win that they really needed to get them maybe into the bubble conversation. Obviously, they lose now. Their head coach is gone for 5 years, 5 games. Do they rally the troops? They are at home. I'm not defending anyone that's playing Rutgers. I see what you see, but I just public beware here because the whole world is on Rutgers here. So just be careful there. TCU at Texas. Texas kicked us in the you know what Saturday against Texas Tech. Rotation number 679, 680. Texas opened up at 9, now 9.5. I'm showing 68% of the bets, 77% of the money on TCU.
Yeah, I'm not showing that at all. $56,000 on the game, 78%. I'm sorry, 73% of the money, 58% of the tickets, all on Texas.
All right, so the line's moving in the right direction. So there's 6 or 4 casinos they're showing. I got to keep remembering that 250,000 on Texas Tech. I'm kind of curious which 4 or 6 casinos. It's almost like they're heavily Texas leaning. I'm going to go. That'll be my homework assignment. Figure out who they follow there. West Virginia at Iowa State, 681, 682. West Virginia got thumped at home by Kansas, who doesn't. Going to Iowa State, a team that started 11 or 12-0. That's kind of obviously came back to reality. 82% of the bets, 87% of the money on Iowa State. A line freeze. I would lean Huggy Bear and bounce back for West Virginia, but I'm not taking a lot of stock in that one.
Yeah, $49,000 so far on the game. 78% of the money, 78% of the tickets, all on Iowa State.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to make a statement here. Everyone here that's watching and or listening, either make a mental note of this or grab a pen and a pad so you don't forget. Providence has a 2-game lead now on Villanova. They host Xavier today, then they host Creighton on Saturday, then they go to Nova on Tuesday, where they're per Ken Pom 10-point underdogs. I will make a statement like I did yesterday on the Matt Peralt and Dave Sharapan, the book, the Bostonian versus the book. Providence is going to lose at least one game before Tuesday. Is it tonight versus Xavier, or is it Saturday versus Creighton? The number here smells to holy you know what, okay? Providence opens up at 1.5. Already got hit and pounded overnight at Circa to Xavier. They're at 1. Westgate has it 1.5. South Point and Caesars 1 and 1.5. 78% of the bets, 51% of the money coming in on Providence. This screams Xavier. Now, when I say this, I have seen a lot of these games the same way this year, and they haven't all come in like they used to. So, I love Xavier tonight. But if you go and play Xavier tonight and lose, you better make damn well sure you go on Saturday to play Creighton, who will be getting about 5, and play them in the money line. What do you have on pregame, Scott?
Well, this is the second largest bet game of the night, Jeff. $120,000 it just clicked up to. 68% of the money and 74% of the tickets on Providence.
So again, if you play Xavier tonight and they lose, promise me you'll play Creighton on Saturday. That's all I ask. Xavier is the side. Ed Cooley and company had just been wagons. They did coming off a game Sunday where they were down 19 in the second half and rallied and won in overtime at DePaul. Maybe they were peaking. Now the fact that they have a 2-game lead, do they come in hungry and make a statement, or do they come in flat? I don't know. I do know this. They will lose one of the next 2 games, if not both. So a Billy Hewlin special here, rotation number 689, 690, Northern Iowa and Indiana State, a line that opened at 5, now 6. I'm showing 55% of the bets, 70% of the money on Indiana State, yet the line went from 5 to 6. So in our eyes, that would be reverse line movement on Northern Iowa.
Yeah, $11,000 bet on the game, so it's not that popular. But 62% of the money, 54% of the tickets on Indiana State.
So reverse line movement on Northern Iowa. This next one reeks to high heaven. Rotation number 691, 692, the Drake at Valpo. Valpo opened at 5.5 for a reason. They got it up to 7. 52% of the bets, 72% of the money on Drake.
This is $17,000 bet on it, and it looks like almost everybody's betting one way. 93% of the money, 82% of the tickets on Drake.
Wouldn't surprise me. Obviously, Drake wins, but it wouldn't surprise me if they win by 5 or less. So just be careful if you're treading Drake tonight. Rotation number 697, 698, BC at NC State. I thought the number opened up low, but there is a line freeze, and I'm showing 64% of the bets, 68% of the money on BC.
Well, this has not been a very popular bet game either. Only $12,000 on the game. 75% of the money, 65% of the tickets on NC State.
Yeah, stay away. Next game used to have some flash. Rotation number 699, 700, Duke at Virginia. Duke opens up at 4.5, now 5. 73% of the bets, 70% of the money on Duke. And what I would also like to say here is the under over opened at 130. That is not a 118 number, which is a Virginia defensive battle. So they're saying that they're going to be a little more scoring than normal here. Let me see. So, I mean, they're expecting the Dukies to get to about 68 here and Virginia to get into the 60s as well.
This is the number one bet game on the night, Jeff. There is almost $170,000 now on this game. 71% of the money, 75% of the tickets on Duke.
I listen, back in the day, I would say Virginia all day. They're just not that good this year. I don't know which Duke team will show up, which Virginia team. I'm going to pass there. It is what it is. A couple more here. Davidson at Duquesne. This reeks to holy heaven. Rotation number 701, 702. Davidson opened up at 9, now down to 8.5 in some spots, yet 88% of the money, 88% of the tickets, 93% of the money.
Yeah, this one looks similar. It's got $44,000 on it, so that's not like pocket change. 94% of the bets, 91% of the tickets on Davidson.
Yeah, and the line dropped. I mean, again, I've talked at length that maybe these guys are getting sharper and wiser. And listen, the only way they're going to get Duquesne money from the sharp guys like ourselves is to do exactly what they did. All the tickets, all the money's pouring in on Davidson, and they are an absolute cash cow. They're a juggernaut. We learned it again the other day. You'd step in front of this train, and they're just going to whack you. And yet, the public just keeps going to the window, yet they're showing the line drop. And so people like ourselves, the sharper side, is saying, well, reverse line movement on Duquesne, therefore Duquesne's the side, and Duquesne wins by 20. So I'm just saying tread lightly on the Davidson train. Duquesne is the side there. I'm not going to run to the window, but I've gotten stung enough by Davidson. So, and that's even without Steph Curry. So we'll stay away from them. Another one that reeked to me, rotation number 709, 710, Wake Forest at Clemson. This line only opened up at 1.5, now 3.5. This reminds me so much of the Alabama Vandy game last night, where Alabama opened up 1.5, 2, got steamed to 4.5, 5. Bama wins by 2. All the Vandy money was cashing. 82% of the bets, 92% of the money on Wake Forest. They got it to 3.5, probably 4 by tip-off. I'm not going to get in front of Wake Forest. They've killed us enough this year. You're supposed to play Clemson here. I'm staying away, but Clemson is the correct side here.
Yeah, 71,000 on this one. This is so far the highest bet game remaining on the board. And where did it go? There it is. 78% of the money, 88% of the tickets, all on Wake Forest.
Clemson's the side there. I'm not going to pay to find out, as my friend says once in a while. But I'm just telling you, Clemson's the right side there. 7-17, 7-18, a good game here. Bradley at Missouri State. Missouri State looking for the sweep. They won at Bradley already this year. 71% of the bets, 76% of the money, all on Missouri State. Stuck at 5.5. Line freeze. I lean Bradley here, but I've gotten burned a few times by Missouri State.
Well, there's not very much bet on this game. This is an unpopular selection so far. $6,900 so far on the game. 89% of those bets and 59% of the tickets all on Missouri State.
Yeah, I lean Bradley here. Throw a little pizza and beer money on the plus 180 with Bradley. Grab them maybe plus 6 by tip-off. LSU and Kentucky, 7:37, 7:38, 9 p.m. tip-off. Opened at 7.5, 8 at Circa, now 7.5 across the Vegas Strip. An LSU team like Iowa State that jumps off to an amazing start, now has crashed, come back to earth. Again, this Kentucky team is a wagon. I think the number's pretty spot on. I'm not going to get in front of it, but I think Kentucky wins. I'm not going to pay to find out.
Yeah, this one is $59,000, 70% of the money, 75% of the tickets on Kentucky.
All right, people, grab your pens and paper again. This is the GOD, the game of the day. Go back about 3-4 weeks ago. Wyoming, Colorado State was at Wyoming, and I talked about this Wyoming team, which is good this year. And they're like a Providence, they're like a Villanova that just hang around and they find ways to win, never mind cover. We had Wyoming +2, and they were winning the whole damn game. And we had Colorado State +2, winning the whole damn game. Wyoming scores at the buzzer to go to overtime and wins by 3 or more. This game opened up at 6, now 6.5. I am telling you right now, go to the window, play Colorado State. If I say this, if you don't do it, don't do it. I buy the hook here to 6. So 6 we push, 7 we win. Some people will take the 6.5 and they'll take the loss if they lands on 6. So many people, everyone's different. I see people playing the -1s all day, and you got a 1% chance or whatever it is to land on 1, but when it does, it stings. Yesterday, I talked about UConn. They were opened at 1. They were steamed to 2.5-point favorites. I would have only played UConn on the money line. Yet, if I had to play the spread, I would have bought the hook, guys. I would have pushed after they just fired the ball off the rim so the clock would run out. I just hate to get stung here, guys. So I suggest buy the hook -6, but I think Colorado State wins by double digits here. What do you got for numbers there?
$40,000 on the game, 63% of the money, 78% of the tickets on Wyoming.
I love Colorado State even more. Colorado State is the POD, the GOD, whatever you want to call it today. Hockey tough menu. Nothing jumps out. We had Andrew on. I'll tell you what, Andrew loves the dog today with Edmonton. Tampa coming off a week of rest. Edmonton coming off a loss after they had won 4 in a row. I like Edmonton. You can get them at +185. We also talked about them in the first period as well. Tampa might be a little sluggish with the 7 days off. So take a peek at Edmonton early and Edmonton off in there. He leans Dallas, which is now down to 146 over the Jets. And he had them parlayed with the Kings just to win. I like the Kings tonight in the puck line. The Yotes got us on Sunday for our 3-team parlay. I think the Kings win. I think they cover the puck line as well. Scotty, it's that time of the day. Could you please close shop up with Webby's words of wisdom?
Yeah, well, today's topic that we're going to talk about is complaining. I know that's it's an interesting type of thing to talk about, but how often do we hear just complaints in general, and or do we classify people as complainers? And I guess it depends on what circles you live in the world of people that you associate with. But in a lot of ways, you could say that's quite a bit. but I think that we don't really understand the word. So do you really know what complaining is? Because the truth is, complaining is something that you believe that someone or something better out there exists, but you are not willing to take responsibility of either fixing it, creating it, or making it different for yourself. So in other words, most people, they sit here and they complain about things like they want a better job, or they want a better house, or they want to make more money, or things along that. They want to get thinner, all that stuff. They complain about a lot of things, and they complain about other people who already have that stuff. The issue is that you don't see anybody out there complaining about gravity. They don't complain about things that they can't control. It's always things they can control. So you got to stop spending the time with the complainer people, because they change and alter your way you think. And in our lanes, you got to stay that positive mental focus, and you got to have it correct. So you need to learn to replace your complaining thoughts by making requests and then taking actions. So that way you achieve results, you work to make better, and you leave things in better spots. So in other words, you start to ask yourself certain questions about things like, okay, if I want to have a better house, how do I do that? What do I have to do to make those things happen? And then you take actions to make those things your responsibility to make that stuff happen for yourself. It's a different way of thinking. It's also a different way to change the way your brain works, so that you're making demands of yourself. You're saying things to yourself. You're making requests of yourself. You're allowing yourself to say no. You're being in a responsive position. In our lanes in the sports world, we complain all the time. We complain about this turnover, or we complain about the referee's call, or we complain about the coaches, or we complain this player woke up and he didn't want to play today, instead of us really working on what made things wrong for us during this game, or during whatever the process is that you're doing. Because ultimately, if you would spend more time asking yourself questions and asking yourself and demanding of yourself to take action off of the results you find of the answers that you get when you ask yourself the questions, you're going to be in a better shape and a better frame of mind as you go into the next game and the next game, or the next week, or whatever it's going to be, because your processes are right. And then as you land your processes right, your results get better. And not only they get better, what we always look for is consistency. It's one thing to be up one day and then down the next. It's better to be gradually building and building and building. If you go 2-1 every day, you're going to make a lot of money. So the truth of the matter is, change the way you think, understand what complaining is, and then do something about it.
I like to use the word vent. I have now, the funny thing is, our IT tech and marketing crew have now done a few TikToks on Jeff's rants. So I tend to do that once in a while, and I think it's really good. What CSI offers to anyone is a 24/7, 365 open door policy. Whether you text me, DM me, send me an email, it's not. We're not just about sports. We're about family. We're about life. And sometimes life gets so busy and you get balled up so tight. And Scotty, you talked about it perfectly. The start of the show, being in the zone and seeing stuff so clearly versus waking up groggy, bad day, bad week. The dog pooped all over the house. The wife's yelling and screaming. The kids haven't picked up the room in days. And stuff like that builds up on you. And I always say, you wake up in the morning and do you hear the birds chirping, or are they a nuisance? Is it that loser bird at 3 a.m? Are you looking at the roses, or are you looking at the thorns? It's really important for people to be grateful in life and actually look at what they have, because the grass isn't always greener across the street. And I think we want to bitch, yell, scream, and complain more often than not because poor, pitiful me. Look what just happened to me when 99.9% of the world has it worse than you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing right now, right? I think that we're in a spot where um, I think the biggest factor is what's in your control and what isn't. And if it's in your control, do something about it. And if it's not, let it go. And only worry about the things that you can control, because that's your world, and you're responsible for you. And when you're responsible for you, you allow things to either be good for you or not. And shame on you if you allow them not to be good to you.
100% agree. Tomorrow tomorrow the breakfast bankroll will be at 10 a.m. with Colton Soroka. We're going early because I got my 55-year-old physical results tomorrow. So the blood work was done last week. So I get to go hear what the doctor has to say. So ought to be interesting. And then myself and Scotty will be back at 4:30 with the closing bell. And
Yeah, I
then,
get some NBA tomorrow.
holy tamale, the NBA is back. I heard the Celtics have 22 games left, and it was kind of neat. On the way home, I threw on Sirius Radio. I threw on the fantasy station and listening to Adam Ronis. And, they were talking some NBA futures and stuff. And, be interesting to see. There are some pretty big numbers out there still. The Chris Paul injury is interesting. I thought Phoenix was set. Obviously, I think Golden State will have something to say, but they're waiting on Draymond Green. But the East is wide open, and they brought up a pretty good point because of the Philly and Brooklyn trade. We don't know what either team's going to look like. I think on paper, and I think you do too, and it was talked about today, is Kyrie's going to be able to play in the playoffs at home, and if not, they'll just pay the fines. He's playing. It'll be interesting to see him, Simmons, and Harden. Durant once he gets healthy. And we're talking about Philly and how they look, with Embiid and Harden, and they lost, Drummonds and they lost Curry. So if anything happens to Embiid, they're done. And they were talking about, no one's talking enough about the Bucks. They're the defending champs. They got the great core. They know how to win. They've already done that. And, you got the Bulls and the Heat still above them. And so the East is wide open, and the Celtics have rallied off, won 9 out of the last 10. They're playing the best defense in the league right now. So it's going to be interesting for sure, Mr. Webb.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think that one of the lightest numbers I saw was I think the Celtics are one of the top favorites to make it through the East. So and I don't disagree with that. I just think that that's a perfect indication of where that division is. And on the other side, when you look at the West, on the West side, you've got the teams we've been talking about all year. You've got Phoenix, you've got Golden State, but I don't think that you should sleep on Utah either. That's a team that plays well at home, and they have some superstars. And as long as Gobert plays, I mean, they're in pretty good shape. So I just think it's an interesting way it's going to shake out and see what happens. But I do think that it's we got to, when you're starting to talk about the playoffs and how the NBA works, you got to talk about the series, and if the series adjustments one team can make over another one is enough or not, or what the depth looks like to be able to handle the series. And I think that the deeper you are, the better off you're going to be. And I don't think that some of these teams, we talked about Philadelphia. I don't think Philadelphia is going to be deep anymore. So it's a team that, when they got their starting five out there, they might be halfway decent, but they got bringing the rest of the guys in, and it might not be so good.
Tonight, everyone enjoy the games. Have some fun with them. If you are on the edge of your seat, your couch, and just throwing the remote, kicking the door, as I said, you got a little too much on the plate. Once you cut those in half, or as I said yesterday, maybe decaf late at night. Again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long journey, and we're just still in February. We still got 10 months and a week of this 2022 season. So always, always, always invest and wager responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Because myself and Scott care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month through 22 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty at 20 Webby MLB, we wish everyone a blessed evening. Cash some tickets. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.